Hi everybody, Chris here from Truly Holistic. In this video, we're going to talk about healing animals. I don't really like to use the term animals. We could say other life forms, but I'm talking about, our fur family members, our dogs, our canines, our cats, our felines. Um, Over the years, I've worked on a lot of dogs. I've worked on a lot of cats. Um, I've worked on goats, right, for people that are on a farm. But I've also worked on horses as well, and I've even worked on a snake before, which is an incredible experience. And there's a difference with working with animals, and this has been my experience in regards to humans, and that is mainly because animals are generally more intuitive and more instinctual. Okay, and we associate a Truly Holistic to be more intuitive and more instinctual, to be less mind orientated and more connected into their heart. Okay, so within sessions, generally, and everybody that's had a session with me will understand this, that we can drastically shift and change how someone feels within 45 minutes through essentially removing what they aren't and then facilitate what they are. And really a big part of that is to get them out of the head, get them out of mind, thought mentality, and to get them in the heart. So quite often when we are working on animals, they rebound pretty quickly, right? Because our biggest block as humans is that we are so mind orientated, and quite often we get in the way because we believe we need to do. And of course, that gets in the way of the body when the body already knows what to do. Okay, it knows it's programmed to rejuvenate, regenerate, and heal as long as we facilitate the natural state, which is a state of being, and being doesn't come from the mind. The mind actually prevents us from providing our natural state. When we get into our intuitive, instinctual nature, which is through feel, which is an extension of the heart, then all of a sudden we provide the state to allow the body to flourish. So hence it can rejuvenate, regenerate, heal. And all our job is to present that state, not to do, but to present that state is through being. Okay. And humanity and humans generally find that really difficult because, again, we're so mind orientated. That's been our autopilot mode for so long that a lot of people don't realize we're getting in the way of our healing. So we don't generally see that with animals. So they rebound pretty quickly when we do the clearing work. Now, the thing also, my evolution as a healer, as an intuitive, is, anyone, again, that's had a session with me will understand that it's a space where there's no thought, there's no mentality, there's no mind interference, and I'm going to call it that because a lot of people that get into dowsing and stuff and they find it really hard to get clarity in the answers they're getting is because you're allowing the mind and the thoughts to get in the way, and that's what then creates the doubt, creates the interference. So within that space that we hold, and quite often I tell people that, hey, it's essentially, it mimics a meditative state, because when we get to a meditative state, that is our natural state, a state of being, okay, where we bypass the mind and its thoughts to drop in the heart, right? So we're holding a space there, right, which is all about feel. So when I'm on the charts, it is about feel. It's a very wouldn't say it's a tactile experience, but it's a feeling, a knowing that comes through and presents itself. So that has evolved to a point where I can feel the experience that client, that human is going through, but also that animal that I'm working on, right? We've worked on a number of ailments in regards to dogs, a number of ailments in regards to cats, and and particularly with goats, working on infection issues, and particularly with horses, realigning their hip joints, the spine, their skeletal system to get them moving again if they've had an injury. And that's worked super well. And of course, with the snake was riddled with cancer. We found that snake was riddled with cancer. It wasn't eating any of its diet, which was mice. And we found why that was. It was digestive system of the body was becoming riddled with cancer. It was quite an older snake. And I could feel the pain. I could feel the discomfort that was that snake was going through. What an experience that was. And that gives me a greater insight into how I need to help that particular animal, life form, human. And it's not me taking on its energy. It's just me getting an idea, an understanding of what's going on. So, seeing great results in regards to many of the animals. Now, another thing we take into account when we are working on, especially with dogs, cats are a little bit different because cats are generally, they go and do their own thing, right? They're pretty solitary and they go and do their thing. But dogs are more dependent on their owner, right? So when we look at, and when we see this in humans, we see it with babies and young children. They're very dependent on their parents or their caregiver. So when we see this with dogs, what can happen is that, yes, that dog experiences a problem, a health problem. But when we dig deeper into it, quite often it can be that that problem doesn't originate in that dog. It originates from the owner. Because the owner's, holding space, the space that they present and hold to that dog, which is greatly dependent on that owner, is influencing and affecting that dog. So quite often we have to go into clearing work in the owner to then see a shift within the dog or within the other life form animal. So we see that especially in regards to dogs. And that's something that is very important to note, and we see that quite a lot. Now, of course, I've had the client or the owner bring the dog in front of the camera, but obviously they want to move around. Obviously you can't put a cat in front of the camera. So again, I just get a photo, I just get a glimpse of the cat, the dog, or the animal that we're going to work on, and I can just take it from there, and we can work on them. So that works very well. Now, also, I've got a new product that I want to show that is especially but that can be for any animal, but this is in particularly for our dogs and cats, right? And that is to, we use tensor technology here at Truly Holistic. And we've made these tensor rings to put on a collar, right, of a dog or a cat. And this is the earth element. Okay. So we've got this size and we've got a smaller size. For example, for a medium to large size dog, you go with this. For a smaller dog and a cat, you go with this one. Same energetic, right? So it's the same product. And earthing is very important because it can just connect that animal back into its heart, right? Back into more of its consciousness, right? So when we get that consciousness, which is an energy, which is carried, the carrier wave of that energy is a vortex, which is flow. And we know that the body, it doesn't matter what life form, including a human, that the body thrives on flow, right? When we see a congestion, obstruction, or blockage to flow, then we start to see a problem. We see illness within that state. So this can really help out a dog or a cat greatly. Okay, so and quite often then their body, their intuitive nature knows what to do with that from that point onwards. So this is a really great product for that. Okay, also especially another thing that we see in animals as well, very important to take note, where a product like this is very important for this situation, is trauma, right? So we worked on dogs that have a new, caregiver, a new owner, but earlier in their life, they weren't treated very nicely, right? They were brought up in an environment that was very harsh on them. They were deprived, basic things like food and water, and treated very badly. So we see that come up quite a bit, and that, just like a human, that disconnects that animal from their authenticity, their heart, right, which is presenting their natural state. And obviously, the underlying intention, the way that they go about their life, and the way that that dog or cat will behave, is with this expectation of fear, right, because of that past trauma. So I guess we could say they've got PTSD, right? Because the thing is, just like a human, we have an event that is a trauma, but the hazardous aspect of it is that we carry that with us, so it can continually influence us moving forward. And sometimes that can be the biggest thing, right? To shrug that off and become very present and aware with the state we have, environment we have now, which quite often is not the same as it was when we first had that trauma. So these products are really good because it's going to get them back into their heart, right? And we see that when we get someone back in their heart, right, being very present, whether that's an animal, whether it's a human, now we have infinite opportunities to start anew, right? We quite often call the present moment the 0 point, right? Because we can start anew from there instead of remanifesting more of the past, because our choices and how we perceive that our reality in that moment is no longer being influenced by the past. We can move forward. Okay. And that we definitely see that in regards to, early year or early experience traumas within cats, dogs, and so on. Goats, could be any life form, could be any animal. So we work on that clearing work, but definitely these products are wonderful for that. Now this earth element is very much connected to the science. There's a lot of science now with grounding and earthing that show that when we are earthed or grounded, then it provides negative ionization in the body to shift out positive ionization, and the positive ionization is the bad stuff and negative ionization is the good stuff, right? So it promotes an anti-inflammatory state, right? So sometimes, which essentially means that when we're accumulating positive ionization, we're a closed circuit, which means that everything just accumulates and it has no way of kind of being discharged. When we get grounded or earth, we allow that stuff to be discharged off of us. And so what we've come to find with this earth element, this energetic, which is about getting that life form back into their heart, right? Which is where their authenticity comes as a consciousness, as a soul. It takes grounding to another level. We essentially call it super grounding, because really grounding is connection, is the word connection, and connection is associated with where we come from and what we originally are, what we authentically are and infinitely are, is consciousness. And our pathway of consciousness coming here to have an experience, whether having experience through a human body, through a canine body, a feline body, and so on, it comes through a pathway of the heart. Right, so this is where this product is very important for a life form, for a cat, for a dog. So if you're interested in healing for your fur family member, whether that's a cat, a dog, goat, sheep, any animal, bird, go and book a session at trulyholistic.net/appointments/ If you're interested in getting these products, go to my product store at trulyholistic.net/products/. Please remember to like the video if you've enjoyed this content, and to subscribe to the channel and push the notification bell, which will let you know when the next video is dropped. Till next time.